we will go on Facebook Live in just a moment. So again, we want to welcome you to Hot Topic Tuesday, a personal recovery story. I'm going to go ahead and stop sharing my screen right here. Welcome again. My name is Tracy Sadawatori. For those of you who don't know me, I'm a community organizer with AADAP. Our Hot Topic Tuesday today is in recognition of Recovery Month, and our guest is Yvette Enrique. I just want to give you a brief overview of National Recovery Month. As all of you know, September is dedicated to National Recovery Month. And in September, it's a time for us to come together and celebrate individuals in recovery and offer hope to those who might be struggling. National Recovery Month reinforces the positive message that behavioral health is essential to overall health. Prevention works, treatment is effective, and people can and do recover. With that, I want to introduce our guest, Yvette Enrique. She's a case manager at AADAP, and her story is one of resilience and perseverance. I've heard her story different times, and I always am amazed at Yvette's positive and outgoing outlook on life. I mean, she's just always so engaging and so positive, and I just admire her for her perseverance and keeping up with her recovery. And you're going to really hear all of that through her story and through her sharing. So Yvette, I want to welcome you to our Hot Topic Tuesday platform. And I want you to go ahead and start with telling us a little bit about yourself, anything that you would want the audience to know about you.
Sure. First, I want to thank you, Tracy, for allowing me to have this opportunity. I'm honored and grateful to be able to share my story. So my name's Yvette, and today I can say that I am a positive, life and God-loving person that wants to inspire others. I couldn't say that 8 years ago, though. I came up from the destruction and ashes of addiction and now have a healthy lifestyle. So I can finally embrace and progress through, whether it's good, bad, or ugly, using the tools and knowing what my options are. And I learned that through AADAP. I never thought it would have been possible 23 years in addiction, losing my career, burning my bridges, serving 2 terms in the state prison. You know, I always thought, how can I do anything after all that at my age? What I thought at first was fun and exciting turned out to be reckless, and it became a downward spiral of addiction, abuse, and homelessness, which ultimately led me to criminal activity just to survive, just to live every day. I honestly thought I would die high, real quick, like any day I was gonna just die. I didn't think I would ever leave addiction. But through the love and prayers of my family, treatment that I finally received from AADAP, and being ready to change, I can speak of this with my head held high today, which is amazing.
That is truly amazing. And I'm so glad that you persevered through all of that, Yvette, and that you're here today to share your story. And I want to commend you. And, you know, every day is a celebration for you to make it through all of that. So I want to take a moment and go back a little bit to you growing up. Do you think you were exposed to substances or circumstances that may have led you on your path to experimenting with drugs and alcohol? Can you talk about that a little bit?
Oh yeah, definitely. But let me give you a backdrop on what my life kind of was in the beginning. So I grew up in a Filipino household, and my parents were immigrants that came from the Philippines to the US to live out the American dream. They met in college and got married and had 3 kids, and I was the eldest. That marriage didn't last long, and they were divorced. I know now divorce is pretty common, but it was so traumatic for me to go through that. My dad was my hero, my best friend, and now he was soon replaced by another man that would cause much abuse for me and the rest of my family. So I encountered a lot of physical, verbal, and sexual abuse growing up. But I think the most traumatic for me is watching my mom be physically abused. With my dad gone, with my dad gone, my mom was my protector. Um, she couldn't even do that for me, and it was devastating. It was scary. I was 5 at the time, so I felt not just vulnerable, but fear, just full sheer terror every day. Um, this lasted until I was 12, and my mom finally left the marriage. So this is a time that I felt relief and a sense of freedom. And I guess you could say went buck wild at that point.
Wow. I mean, that's so much for a little girl to go through, that much trauma in such a short span of your life. And I can't imagine going through all of that. And when you say you went buck wild, can you talk about what that was? You know, you must have had such a sense of freedom now that the person that was causing so much harm and so much trauma in your life was gone. So can you talk a little bit more about that?
Yeah. So I was entering middle school, and we all know middle school is a time of change, and like everything changes. I mean, body changes, you go through puberty. But one of the main things I started wanting was validation of others. I really yearned for acceptance and being liked by others. And later I found out through, treatment and things that it was probably because I have had so much guilt and shame that I felt from the abuse I endured, and thought that some of it was probably my fault. And I just really sought out that validation from others. Um, when I got into middle school, I never thought anything was wrong with me at this point, because the person who was causing all the trauma was gone. And we never talked about the dirty laundry in the family. So alcohol, pot, and the drug upgrade of cocaine became my weekend delight. And if lucky, weekdays as well. It was my escape. It was where I didn't have to feel anything. Um, so in middle school and high school, because I'm Filipino, it was always instilled that education was important. So I learned to maintain my grades and attendance. Um, and this allowed me to graduate high school and go on to college. But in high school, all the signs were there that there was definitely something really wrong with me. I was a disciplinary problem. And to say that I just talk a lot, but I always disrupt people. And, I mean, well, I think back now and I think, wow, those are signs that there's something wrong. Um, I was very rebellious, more so than most. And the biggest thing that probably should have stuck out was, why was I dating a man 8 years older than I? Yeah, even today, when I look back, it's criminal, right? I mean, there was something wrong, but I was so out of control and unstoppable. And since I was able to prove and show that I could keep and maintain my grades, and I was able to graduate high school, things didn't seem so bad um, in the eyes of like my family. So I went on to college and I did the same thing. And while I was in college, I became engaged. And 2 weeks before my graduation from nursing school, my fiance was found shot in the head in the backyard, in his backyard.
Wow, that is a lot to go through. So much going through. It seems like you were able to keep up that image of good girl, good grades, Filipino young person that was kind of making it, and you were able to keep your grades up and also use at the same time. And it was kind of like, woohoo, things are good, things are going, and then all of a sudden this huge tragedy happens where your fiance unfortunately was shot. How do you go on from that tragedy? How do you move forward?
Wow, that it was like a whirlwind. It was like, well, le- seemed like for most of my life, even though I would mess up and things would happen, things still fell into place. I was, I was reckless in high school, but then I was able to graduate. So I came out and kind of unscathed from all the rebelliousness I was in. And then I went into college and went through nursing school, and I was kind of I was kind of wild there too, but I still passed. Um, and then I graduated, and everything just it was such a blur when the death occurred. I thought I had everything planned out, um, as for me for my life, what was going to happen after I graduated, and this was not part of my life plan. So I went on to take nursing boards and became licensed, which was, wow, I did that too, and continued working as a nurse. But I also was doing what I did best, and that was being the party girl and trying to be liked by everyone and popular and whatever. But that was also when I was introduced to methamphetamine. Soon after being introduced to that, it was like death. It was so user friendly, like I could use and didn't have to worry about hangovers or whatever. And meth was like that. I just feel like it was so evil towards me. um, like alcohol or cocaine, you wake up and the next day and you're hungover and full of regret. But with meth, it just you could just keep going. And when I mean going, I mean I went on for 23 years, 2 decades of just using. And how did I do that? Um, so I was using, but work got in the way of my using. So I did what any responsible user would do. I quit my job so that I could keep using and nothing would stop me from using. And then I thought, in my insanity that, oh, I'll protect my license. I'll just put it in inactive and just continue on my little, party girl way. And, it's just one of those, that addict mentality of, you can justify everything and make everything okay, just as long as you can use. And basically that's what my life became. So work was getting in the way and I quit. And I would now be enduring 23 years of slow, agonizing death of my life. At first it was great. I had saved up some money, I put it away. And I still had a car, of course, and a boyfriend that I was living with. So, just in case you didn't know, any relationship based on dope usually became an abusive relationship. So, of course, this relationship was long. It tore apart my self-esteem, my confidence, my independence, all gone, and all within 5 years. That was a long gap. That was a long gap year of not working, and I always thought I would go back, but I never did. So I would now live a life that others would define as being irresponsible, irresponsible addict. I didn't have any source of income, or did I support myself any longer? So this only equaled for me a life of despair, helplessness, hopelessness, and a lot of times, suicidal thoughts. I didn't know what I was going to do the next day or what I would become. I just This wasn't my life. I didn't plan any of this, and it just became that way of life. So the only way I could escape those feelings, and all the other feelings I had of why did that have to happen to me, um, things that I thought my life was supposed to be like, the feelings of like I had goals and dreams and the future. I was able to erase with taking that magic dose of that drug, and it would just throw all those out. I wouldn't have to feel any of it. My relationships became the center of my life because that was the only thing that was supporting me at that time. And they were long and abusive, most of which were with men that could support my addiction, which meant they used to. And they would always turn into my abuser. Um, so I lived a life of a lot of domestic violence at that time. I lost all confidence in myself, all hope that I would even regain any kind of control in my life again. And most of all, I felt so helpless because I didn't know how or where, or even if there was any help for me. And how can I get help? Like, what would that mean? Could I go back to work? I didn't know. It was scary. Like, I was so um, comfortable where I was in a way that this is how my life was going to be. And I imagine every day for 2 decades, I was living like this with those thoughts, and then just, self-medicating with meth. It was insanity. It's all I did every day was just, if I woke up and I had to take that hit so I wouldn't have to, think about what my life really looked like. I could tweak on something, I don't know, be on the computer, play video games. I don't know what I did. But it led me astray and led me to do criminal activity, really, because, money runs out and I had to find ways to support myself. And, especially with them in relationships that were abusive, they expect me to do something. So I did start doing fraudulent stuff, stealing identities and things like that. And that's the way my life was for over 2 decades.
So let me ask you something, Yvette. During that 2 decades of your life,
Mhm.
where was your family at that point? Had you gone astray from your family? Were you in touch with your family? Were you kind of lost at that time?
So you could say I was lost by choice. I was so embarrassed, so ashamed, so wanting to prove to my family that I wasn't so bad. I stayed away from my family because of the guilt and shame. I think the longest time apart from my family where I did not see them at all was 5 years. No one actually saw me for 5 years. Can you imagine?
Yeah,
People report people missing family members after 24 hours.
yeah,
After a week, everyone's, looking for whoever. In a month, I mean, people are sending out rewards like find my family member. My family would just get word that I was sighted somewhere and I was alive, and that's all they could go by. But how painful that must have been. I still hurt from that. Thinking
yeah.
about the pain that they went through. I mean, they would tell me stories about a woman was found dead somewhere and they couldn't identify that person. And imagine not knowing where your family member is and thinking, oh, was that them?
Yeah.
So I really hurt from that. That's one of the most painful things that I could put my family through. Sorry.
No, that's okay. It's a lot to relive all of that hurt and know that you came through it on the other end though.
Oh, I did. So my family was always there. I just never wanted to have them see me the way I was. I don't think I was ready because my family wanted to provide for me help. But I don't think I was ready because what did that meant if I got help? Like, I've lived so long being irresponsible addict, and that was my go-to. Like, what are you gonna do? Well, I'm homeless. I'm irresponsible. I'm a drug addict. That kind of just all right. That just was like my pass card. Like, all right. But I really I really didn't think I could find help only because I didn't know that there was help that you could get without insurance. So my sister found AADAP, um, which was a lifesaver, which I don't, God was, blessed me with AADAP. And
the only thing that she kept saying to me was that you have to be ready. You can't go do this and then leave like you always do and run away, because that was, my MO. I would come and they would give me a shower and some food and then I'd take off, and then they were thinking that I was going to get help. But so my sister introduced me to AADAP. She told me about it and I was like, yeah, yeah, yeah. Um, I finally did accept the help. And that was only because I got a dog that I needed to take care of. Oh my gosh, a living thing that I was actually responsible for the safety and the health and, you know, um, and helping it live and thrive and grow. So how was I going to do that if I had no job and if I was on dope? I couldn't do that. So my sister said she would take care of my puppy while I went into treatment. I didn't think treatment was going to be that long, but so they were there. My family was there. Um,
So in a sense, your puppy kind of saved your life.
yes, and a lot of people from AADAP while I was going through treatment know about my puppy Smokey. He saved my life. He did. He did. He actually let me look at. I couldn't, I didn't care about myself, but I really loved that dog. So I walked into ADAP and I had a lot of reservations about getting treatment, like I said. First of all, because of my nursing background, I knew what it took. I knew what was going to happen, but I just didn't know how to do it. And so I was one of those people that came in and thought I knew everything. And who was going to be like me? I didn't think there were people like me in treatment because, you know, I was educated. I had a career. I didn't think people would understand. But when I walked into ADAP, there were people just like me, like people who had futures also, had careers, had a family, a loving family. So I didn't feel alone anymore. But I still wasn't going to accept the treatment like I thought I was going to. My bags were always packed. For the first, I think, 4 months, my bags were packed. I was going to leave any day. I didn't think I was going to last 2.5 years in treatment, but I did. And I really didn't know what to expect when I came in. I just knew that um, people that hit rock bottom as an addict were the homeless people that were like sitting in front of, on 6th and San Pedro in front of the mission. And I didn't think there, I just felt, I just had that arrogance about me too, that I was too good for treatment. Probably. I don't know. I don't know what it was. I just didn't feel like I was going to be in treatment long. But there was such a diverse group that was in front of me when I walked in. And these people would be my family and help save my life too, because they held me accountable for my behaviors that led me, to the using probably. And they also helped me understand that I had options that I could do before picking up. And it was a long, long process of understanding that. Um, at ADAP, I had the full spectrum of life, of a lifestyle change. It would not only be that I become sober, because what do you do after you're sober, right?
Yeah.
I would learn life skills to make responsible decisions. And then I also would learn to navigate towards becoming employed and a new vocation so that I could live independently and learn how to be responsible in doing that. But it was such a long process. It didn't happen overnight. It didn't happen. I walked through the doors and all of a sudden I became sober and had, a career. Till this day, I'm still progressing and improving and, working on myself. So I say treatment was 2 years, but maintaining that and still growing, it's a lifetime. It's a lifetime of doing this.
Yeah, you had mentioned that you had put your nursing license in inactive. status.
Yes.
So what was your thought, when you were getting towards the end of treatment? What were you going to do? What, putting that on hold, did you want to go back into nursing, or did you want to just
Oh,
totally shift
oh,
and do something different?
I most definitely want to go back to nursing, but I also mentioned I did 2 terms in the state prison, so I no longer have a nursing license. So that I mean, that just was terms of being revoked because of criminal activity and whatnot. But I am working towards regaining that. Lot of things have changed. There are laws now that have been put in place that I'm taking advantage of, like um, it's we finally came to the conclusion that being a drug addict is not criminal. It's not a crime. It's what you do to maintain, your addiction. And we've also come to realize that that if it wasn't because we were addicts, we probably wouldn't have committed those crimes. And so help is there, it's there. I mean, for
Mhm.
people who have had careers, help is there, not only to get sober, but help you with regaining, some of your life back. Um, so yes, I'm moving forward and trying to, like I said, everything's such a process and it's long and it's long and arduous. But I do want to get my nursing license back. I thought it wasn't possible, but I've come to find out it is. Um, Towards the end of my treatment, I realized that it really is in me to help people. So I also noticed that I, with my story and my life experience, I could help others that are suffering from addiction. And
Mhm.
so the first thing I did was found out how I could become a substance abuse counselor. And I went to school for that and became certified as a certified addiction specialist. And I was able to do that for a while, but of course, and I'm just being transparent. Um, your um, the destruction of your life becomes apparent, and you have to you later on have to um, fix things that you just destructed. So um, there are some things that I had to go back and fix, and I couldn't use my certification for a while. So now I'm helping um, or working as a case manager and helping youth not go to down the same path I led myself down. So you know, God just works in such a great way. He just puts things in front of you and lets you, take off with that and has such a great path. So, yeah,
Yeah. For you to be able to make a difference in the kids' lives and to help them realize that they don't want to go down a path. Not saying that you share your experience with them, because you don't want to
no,
do that with them, with
no,
the
no,
youth,
yeah,
not at all. But like you said, maintaining your sobriety is a task.
it
So
is.
what are some things that you do now to maintain it? What keeps you going? What keeps you positive and enjoying life and not going down the path of substance use?
So, one of the things, and that was a big thing for me because I was like, okay, I'm sober and I'm working. But what happens after I clock out? Like, what am
Yeah.
I going to do with that downtime? Because I'm a kind of person that if I don't have options, I'll go to the last option in my pocket, and that's using. So while I was in treatment, they introduced me to running marathons. Oh, they asked me if I wanted to run the LA Marathon. I said, man, I don't think I could do that. I'm old. How am I going to do that? I'm well into my 40s. How am I going to do that? So they said, well, you're going to train. I go, okay, well, let's see what I can do. Let me try. And I still have that rebellious little thing that stays with me. And one of the reasons why I really wanted to do that was because the training part, you get to leave treatment for a little bit and go outside. And that was one of the reasons why I really wanted to do it, is because I wanted to go outside and have free time. To me, it was free time. So I trained for the marathon, and I'm going into my 5th consecutive LA marathon.
Wow.
And I've been running for over 6 years now, 7 years now. I've been doing that. And so that's part of what I do. I also became involved with an awesome church. And um, it, it was something that I really needed to do, because I started understanding how God played such a big role in every corner I turned in my life. Like I said in the beginning, everything always falls into place. That was God. It wasn't me. It wasn't anything else, but it was just God. So he really had this path for me. He had purpose for me. And that's the biggest thing that I received getting treatment is purpose. You know, people say they want to get treatment because they want to become a productive um, part of society. Well, to take it one step above that, having purpose and being productive in society it gives you passion to do what you do, and that's what I got from being of service, doing things not just for work but outside of work, being surrounded by positive people that um, know where I'm at in life, and being transparent about who I am is really important to me, because I've always lived that double life of trying to show people that I was okay, like in school, going through school and using and trying to keep up that image of being the good girl and doing all kinds of crazy things. So yeah, being transparent and letting people know who I am and where I was and how it made me the person I am today, and not being embarrassed of it anymore, not being shameful of it anymore. Just being able to do that keeps me sober, keeps me in my um, maintenance of recovery.
That
So
is
yeah.
so awesome. Now, your relationship with your family is probably so great. I mean, I've met your sister before, and she has nothing but praise to say about you when I meet her. And you two have kind of the same energy,
Yeah.
both positive, outgoing, and upbeat. So, what is that like now to be back with your family, back immersed in with your family?
It's so I feel so protected and so loved, and I've never felt that protection before. Like I said, I went through so many years of domestic violence, and then through childhood I finally have reached a point where what family really means, because going through an abusive household, you never feel safe. It's 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 terrifying. But now, being with my family and knowing that, we're, especially my brother and my sister, we're adults now, and knowing that what we went through, we are there for each other. And my parents, bless them, they're older now, but now they don't have to worry about me. That was the biggest worry for so many years, like what's going to happen to me. And now they have a lot of peace of mind. And so a lot of healing went on. Like I said, it must have been so painful for them. And I know, just thinking about it, the pain that they probably went through, just having empathy towards that, that keeps me sober too. My family just means I feel so whole with family, and and I come from a Christian household and a Christian family, so it really makes a difference now because we're driven we're driven to keep the family unit together. And I was always a missing piece, so now I'm there, and it just feels so good. It feels wonderful to be a part of not only my family, my blood family, but a part of AADAP, my AADAP family, I call them. Just it feels wonderful. So when we talk about family, I talk about my AADAP family. And as a matter of fact, my family always they always tell me, oh, you really love your AADAP family, because if AADAP asks you to wake up at 5 a.m, you're up and at 'em, ready to do whatever they want, like whatever event, whatever, or if I have to stay over and I'm working late, or doing whatever, volunteering to do something late at night, they're like, oh, it's for AADAP, your other family. So, but they love it. They love that I have such a wonderful AADAP family, and they're there to support AADAP too. Like you said, my sister, she loves participating in the events that we have, especially like Showtime, and she's always at the finish line when I finish the marathons. From the first marathon I ran, she's always been there. So yeah, it's awesome.
Yeah,
Just having,
it makes such a difference to have the support. I mean, if you
yes,
didn't have the support around you, be it your blood family or your friends that you call family, you wouldn't have been able to make it through all of it, I don't think, as well as you did.
yeah, it makes a difference. And you know, the biggest thing that I want to also add to is for people that want treatment, you have to be really ready for change. And that means change from everything, and sacrifice, because part of change is sacrificing a lot of stuff, especially
Yeah.
your comfort. Um, so, I was in my addiction for 23 years, and the hardest thing for me to let go of was the people that I had as friends, or
Yeah.
the people that were, even though they were bad, not bad people, but we used together. Those are the only people I knew for 20 years. So you have to imagine, like, people say, why don't you just get help? Well, getting help meant that I'd have to cut those connections off. And until this day, I haven't seen any of those people. And it was a big, for me, sacrifice, because I had to let go of everyone that just even reminded me of using. And that's, part of getting help, is that you have to really be ready to leave everything that you knew in addiction. You have to leave that all behind. And that was a hard thing for me, because there there are people that were very precious to me. I mean, I've known for over 20 years, that I had to really let go of. So, you know, um, that's the one thing that hurt a lot, but I had to get over, and I did, because I've replaced a lot of those relationships with positive, good relationships.
Mhm.
And I pray every night that they have gotten help, or they're getting help. I can't be the one to go out there and do that, because that's just like the most dangerous thing for me to do, is to go back to my old friends and say, here, I can help you, because they would pull me, it would pull me down. That would just be too dangerous for me. Even, being certified as an addiction specialist, it would just be too dangerous for me. And that's one thing I have to always remember too, that I am one thought away from relapse, because relapse is a thought before it becomes a full-fledged relapse of using. I always have to remember that I'm just one thought away from
Wow.
relapse.
I haven't thought of it that way.
Yeah.
That's crazy to think. And it's amazing to me that you keep going and you're so resilient and you're so um, forward thinking. You want to keep this lifestyle because you've built it up and you've made such positive changes in the people you work with, in the people that you surround yourself with, and now having a really strong faith that
Yes.
keeps you going. It's just all so inspiring. I don't know what other words to say. Inspiring, that you inspire me, Yvette. I mean,
Thank you.
I just love talking to you and love hearing the positivity that you bring forth, and that recovery is possible. Look at you. You know,
Yes,
recovery is possible. It just takes work.
it
It
does.
takes a lot of work and many years of dedication and resilience just to come through on the other side.
Yes, it does. And, you know, I wish it all it took was just the thought of becoming sober and your life just falls magically apart. I mean, together for you, and you know, you have your job and you have a place to live and everything go. It takes so long, and a lot of times too, you start questioning, like, can I do this? Because I haven't done this in so long. But if you get treatment and you sincerely want to change, you can do it. And the help is out there. And that's one thing too that I never realized. I never knew that help was free. I'm not going to say free, but of course, there's ways that you can get it without pulling money out of your pocket that you don't have. So, you know, if you know anybody that needs help, let them know. If they need help, they just have to ask. They have to go and find it. And AADAP is a perfect place to get that help. They have AA and NA. They have um, a lot online. Just Google anything and you can find the help there. Um, you know, be proactive. I know it's difficult, but if you have that just even question, maybe I want to get help. If you're, you know, suffering from addiction, just Google it. I mean, and there's so many stories out there similar to mine where people thought that they would never ever believe that they could get sober and have a life that has purpose in it. But and I had every excuse, and they always said I was too smart for my own good, and I was, because I was so arrogant about thinking that I knew it all, and you know, and no one can cure me, and you don't get cured. You know, I'm just going to say that now. You don't get cured. It's just like having diabetes um, or high blood pressure. It's something that you have to maintain for the
Yeah.
rest of your life. You have to. And they have awesome programs right now, like the MAP program, where you can get medication to assist in your treatment so that you don't have to um, fall, dead on your face because of cravings or being sick. They have medication for that. And people say, you know, it was old school where they said, oh, you can't use anything because it's drug seeking. No, it's just like I said, it's a sickness. And just like diabetes, where you need insulin, or if you have other, you know, like heart disease, you need medication to maintain. So, you know, despite what people think, there is help. And, you know, stop making excuses where, you know, people can't help you. People can help you. You just need to reach out, you know, and want
Yeah.
that help. Be ready. Be ready for an awesome change and purpose in your life.
Yeah, that's so encouraging. Thank you, Yvette. I'm gonna thank you so much for sharing your story and being so transparent and sharing all that you went through. I want to open it up right now to see if anyone in the audience has any questions for you. I know you shared pretty thoroughly of your story, but maybe they have other questions that they might want to ask. So let's go ahead and open it up. If anyone has any questions, feel free to open up your speaker, your microphone. I couldn't think of the word. Your microphone, and ask the question, or you can type it in the chat if you're feeling shy. Give you a minute and see if anyone has any questions for you or any comments. Let me open the chat box and see if there's anybody. So far, no questions right now. Let me see if anyone has unmuted themselves. Not yet. I mean, I really sincerely thank you, Yvette, for sharing your story. Are
Thank
there any,
you.
yeah, are there any last thoughts that you want to share? Either about the recovery process or prevention as a whole
So,
before we close out?
oh, so I tell people and I let, and I, you know, I want people to understand too that information is empowering, letting people know about the help. I mean, anyone, like, I know I go out there sometimes and I see people that I think might be, you know, might need help with addiction, and I let them know, there's help. There's help. Um, Call AADAP, call
Yeah,
AADAP, or find the help. So just, there's so many people that don't know that they can get help and it's free. It's not, I'm not saying free, but they don't need to have insurance. We can help them with establishing that, getting drug Medi-Cal. Um, and, and you don't even have to be a US citizen to get help. Even if you're not a US citizen, they still have provisions for that. So letting people know that. And you guys in prevention do such a wonderful job of outreaching to people. ADAP has an awesome outreach team too that goes out there, um, and honors, harm reduction, because that's part of it too. Sometimes, we need a sense of clarity, but doing something that's, gives them a sense of people do care, like providing those clean needles for them is awesome. So I don't know. ADAP is, it's just so wonderful. ADAP is. Oh, Richard has a question.
yes. So
What
he
do,
says, what do you think is the most challenging thing for people who are addicted to get help?
so the most challenging thing is leaving their comfort zone. Because I'm gonna be, I know this is gonna sound gross, but um, when you're comfortable, even if you've been sitting in a pile of doo-doo that's nice and warm and comforting, because even a pile of crap you can find comfort in that. It's warm, it's, it's soft. Getting out of that comfort zone is hard, even if it's in the worst place, because you're comfortable. So leaving that, like I said, for me, it was um, disconnecting from everything I knew life was about, even if it was the most terrible thing, like even leaving, a domestic violent relationship. I mean, all I knew was that I was being fed, I had a roof over my head, and I was getting black eyes and broken ribs, but I was still being fed, right? I mean, how
Yeah,
was I going to do that? So changing that is so scary,
yeah. You
not
have to be
knowing what's
willing
going to
to
be on
make
the, yeah,
that break.
make that break, and knowing, not knowing, like, what kind of work could I do? What kind,
Yeah,
and look, when I first got out of treatment, I wasn't all of a sudden, working at ADAP. I worked at Goodwill as a cashier, a nurse, an ex-nurse, working as a cashier at Goodwill. And I just thought I was, and I took pride in that because I finally, after 20 years, got a job,
yeah,
even though it was at Goodwill. Like, not knowing what's at the end of that, and it's not the end of the road, but what's going to be on the other side of that fence of getting treatment. That's what's scary. That's what's very challenging for people, the unknown, taking that and trusting the process. That's the most challenging. Sorry, I know I go on and on. But
that's
yeah,
okay. That's okay.
yeah.
Let's go ahead and share our resources. We do have some resources to share with everyone. Let me. Hold on. Can you guys see my screen? I can't see my screen. I had this issue earlier. Sorry, guys. Can you see the resources?
No, not yet, Tracy.
Okay, sorry. Hold on. So sorry. My apologies, everybody. Okay, can you see it now? No, yes?
No, it's not there.
It says it's sharing, but it's not sharing. That's so strange. Try one more time. Is it there? Okay.
Maybe you can, because it's so important that people know
Yeah,
about
that
the
we have
resources.
the resources. Hold on one second. Sorry, everybody. Technical difficulties. Okay. I think I found it now. There we go. Can you see this now? It's loading. Okay, here are our resources. So we do have, as Yvette said, a lot of resources within AADAP. We have our AADAP therapeutic community. That's our adult residential. We have outpatient adult counseling. We have youth outpatient as well. You can find all of our resources on aadapinc.org. That's our website. Other resources are SAMHSA, Substance Abuse and Mental Health Services. You can call their helpline to find national help. Narcotics Anonymous and Alcoholics Anonymous are other resources that you can go to. And as Yvette said, Google. Google is your friend in finding services out there. There is help out there for people. So if you want to take a picture of this resource slide, you can. We also have our prevention unit, community prevention unit. That's my unit that I'm working with all of our community organizers. We have organizers in Carson, Richard, Tiffany in El Segundo, Marlon in Inglewood, myself and Jessica in Gardena. Carol is the lead in our tobacco control. And Jeannie is our program coordinator. And then you can also find us on Facebook, all of our different clubs that we're part of, and also on Instagram. You could go onto AADAP Inc. Instagram. Our Carson organizer has an Instagram, and our Inglewood organizer also has an Instagram. So reach out to us, get the help that you need, share resources with others. And we thank you all for joining us today with our Hot Topic Tuesday. We hope that you were inspired and that you will share Yvette's message. If there's anyone that you know of that may benefit from this presentation, you can always find us on the AADAP YouTube page. You can go onto this. It won't be available right away. It might take a couple of days for it to be up on there, but it will be there soon. So with that, I want to thank you for joining us for our Hot Topic Tuesday. Have a great rest of your evening and be well. Take
Thank
care.
you, everybody, for listening to me.